So today, Kasoma Farouk of Uganda is putting a caveat on World War what? World War II. Where these are the lead answers about World War II. So our question says, analyze the causes of World War II, 1939 to 45. So I can tell you we needed to understand what caused the World War II. So we are saying World War II was a global war which broke out in September 1939 and was fought between the Axis powers, Germany, Italy, and Japan, and the allied powers of Britain, France, Russia, and later USA and their respective allies. The war, which was caused by various factors, ended in August 1945 with the defeat of the Axis powers. So we are realizing members of Axis powers, Germany, Italy, Japan, by this time, they were determined to fight against allied powers. That is Britain, France, Russia, and later what? USA. So we are realizing that finally the allied powers defeated the Axis powers. But our area of argument, what caused the World War II? Number one, the extremely harsh terms of the Treaty of Versailles of 1919, especially on Germany. So we are realizing the harsh terms of the Versailles Peace Treaty of 1919 caused the World War II. What happened? The Versailles Peace Treaty of 1919 disarmed only one country called Germany. The hard question is, was Germany going to just like that? Of course, no. That's why when Hitler took political power, for him, he resurrected arms race. So in this kind of arrangement, the harsh terms of the Versailles Peace Treaty of 1919, which disarmed only Germany, it is said the war guilty clause of the Versailles Peace Treaty of 1919 blamed only one country called Germany for causing World War I. So it is this that made Germany in the future to call upon Italy and Japan to launch a war against Britain. And of course, Britain had France, Russia, and later USA on its side, and this caused the World War II. So we are saying the harsh terms of the Versailles Peace Treaty of 1919 caused the World War II. Changes rising up. Another one, the rise of aggressive dictators. Benito Mussolini of Italy, Adolf Hitler of Germany, and of course, Emperor Hirohito of Japan. In this kind of arrangement, the rise of aggressive dictators, these ones were driven by conquering, because their mission was not only to control only their countries, but they wanted to control the whole world. By this time, Britain could not accept the aggressive nature of Adolf Hitler, Mussolini of Italy. That's why by this time, Britain had to ally with Russia, France, and later USA to fight against aggressive dictators. And this finally caused the World War II. Another key aspect, the weakness of the League of Nations. The League of Nations, which was formed in 1920, had a mission. Which mission? The mission was about to promote peace in the world. But because it was full of weakness, for example, it didn't have a standing army. It had economic issues. This was capitalized on by dictators to campaign for themselves to get political power, because they knew that nothing was going to be done to them. So in this kind of arrangement, since the League of Nations was very weak, this made the dictators to become confident to campaign for leadership. And when they took political power, it is this that caused the World War II. Because when they took political power, their mission was about to control the whole world, the whole world. And of course, the leading countries could not accept this. Then the appeasement policy. What was the appeasement policy? This was a policy designed by a man called Chamberlain. I can tell you, Chamberlain was a good man. After realizing that the German was so much humiliated after World War I in the Versailles Peace Treaty, Chamberlain brought a policy where he called it the appeasement policy. He wanted to appease the German and Italy to prevent them from causing World War II. Whatever was asked by German and Italy could be given to those countries. Why? Because the Chamberlain didn't want these stubborn men, Hitler and Mussolini, to cause World War II. That's why Mussolini attacked Ethiopia in the famous Italo-Ethiopian crisis, 1935 to 41. But nothing was done to him because they wanted to make them happy. But the more they were appeased, they felt confident. They believed that other countries were fearing them. So it is this that made Hitler to become more aggressive. Hitler had to attack Austria, Czechoslovakia, and of course later he attacked a country called what? Poland. So we are saying the appeasement policy caused the World War II changes rising up. Then the revival of the alliance system. You remember the alliance system caused World War I. So later, Hitler revived the alliance system by forming the Berlin-Rome-Tokyo axis. And of course, this made other powers like Britain to form Allied powers camp. The hard question is, was the alliance system created act as football teams or what? Of course, they had a mission. The mission was about fighting. That's why they capitalized on Hitler's attack on Poland to attack one another. So the revival of the alliance system made the powers to become confident because every country had the supporters on its one, on its side. So the revival of the alliance system caused the World War II. Changes rising up. Then the re-emergence of the arms race. It is seen arms race, this was competition in the production of military equipment. So there was what you call the re-emergence of arms race, where I can say competition in the production of military equipment caused World War II. In this kind of arrangement, members of the Allied powers wanted to have more military equipment than members of the Axis powers. The hard question is, were they going to use the military equipment as decorations on a wedding day? Of course, no. They had a mission. The mission was about fighting. That's why when they accumulated so many military equipment, they had to fight against one another. So we are realizing that it was a question of the re-emergence of arms race that caused the World War II. Then the devastating effects of the Great Economic Depression, 1929 to 35. What happened? It is said the devastating effects of the Great Economic Depression. Great Economic Depression. This was about economic situation where countries had high levels of unemployment, high levels of poverty, inflation, persistent increase in the price of goods and services. By this time, because of the Great Economic Depression in countries like Italy and Germany, dictators capitalized on the problems of the time to campaign for themselves. When they campaigned for themselves, they took political power. And finally, this caused World War II. Because Hitler convinced the people that he was the only man who was going to solve the economic equation. I can tell you they supported him. And finally, this man caused World War II. Then the increased imperialism and aggression in the interwar period. It is said imperialism struggle for power and influence, where countries wanted to extend their influence beyond boundaries. So it is said it was imperialistic tendencies that made German to attack Austria, made German to attack German, made German to attack Poland. So the imperialistic nature of countries led to World War II. Because by this time, German imperialism threatened Britain. Britain had to form the Allied powers come to fight against the Axis powers. And this finally caused World War II. So imperialistic nature of countries. Another one, we are like saying the rise of aggressive extreme nationalism in Europe. Nationalism is love for one's country. It is the rise of aggressive nationalism, love for one's country. This caused World War II. How? In the way that it was a nationalism that made German to attack Austria, Czechoslovakia. Nationalism made Italy to attack Ethiopia because they loved their country altogether. So they wanted to prove that they are strong. And of course, it was this nationalism of these countries that threatened Britain. Britain had to attack them. And this finally caused World War II. Nationalism, love for one's country. Changes rising up there anyway. Another one, the occurrence of the Spanish Civil War, 1936 to 39. What happened in Spain? In Spain, at one time, the regime of a man called Alfonso came to an end. In Spain, there was the rise of a man called Manuel Ezara. When Ezara took political power, General Franco, who was in the government of Alfonso, staged a civil war against Manuel Ezara. But what happened? He was supported by Hitler and Mussolini. When he succeeded and took political power, this made Hitler and Mussolini to believe that as we have supported General Franco, and he has succeeded, it means we can still fight those countries because those countries were against General Franco. So the Spanish Civil War gave confidence to Hitler and Mussolini. They went ahead to declare war against leading countries like Britain. And this finally caused the World War II. I can tell you, struggle for power and influence. Then the role of mass media and press propaganda. It is said when German produced powerful military equipment, newsmen wrote in papers that German is stronger than Britain. When Britain produced dangerous military equipment, newsmen wrote in papers that Britain is stronger than what? Than German. So we are like saying today, it was a question of the mass media that made these countries to go in the battlefield because they wanted to prove that we are stronger more than the other. So I can tell you this caused World War II. Then the intensification of anti-Semitism campaign by German. Anti-Semitism campaign. This was a campaign where I can say anti-Semitism. This was a campaign where Hitler was like fighting the Jews. Killed 6 million Jews. He put them in gas chambers because he claimed that the Jews betrayed Germany in World War I. So when Hitler killed the 6 million Jews, it is this that made the leading country, that is Britain, France, rise up. They could not just leave a stubborn man to kill people. So by this time, this made Britain to have a reason to convince countries to fight against Adolf Hitler. And this caused World War II. Changes rising up. I can tell you it was a question of the anti-Semitism campaign. Then the invasion of Austria by Germany in March 1938. We are saying today, when Hitler invaded Austria in March 1939. It is this that caused World War II, because it made Britain, France, Russia to have a reason to convince the world that they were supposed to fight against Adolf Hitler, and this caused World War II. So change is rising up. In other words, they had a reason to convince to the world. Another one, the invasion of Czechoslovakia by Germany in March 1939, where I can say when Czechoslovakia was invaded by Adolf Hitler, leading countries like Britain had a reason to convince others to fight against Adolf Hitler, because they were claiming Hitler is attacking innocent countries. Moreover, Czechoslovakia had got its independence after World War I. So I can tell you they had reasons. They had what? Reasons. To fight a war, you must have a cause why you are fighting. You must have capacity to fight, and you must have zeal to do what? To fight. Those are the principles of war. Then the German invasion of Poland on 1st September 1939. When Germany invaded Poland on 1st September 1939, this made countries on 3rd September to join hands together to fight against Germany. And this final World War II. I can tell you, Hitler said, I want Poland today. It was Chamberlain. Chamberlain said, I cannot give you Poland today. Hitler told the Chamberlain, I want Poland. When Chamberlain refused on 1st September, Hitler attacked Poland by force. By the way, he claimed that he wanted to liberate the Germans who were in Poland, because 2 million Germans were living in Poland. Poland got this independence after World War I. But the problem was one, the Germans were there. So by this time, Hitler attacked Poland on 1st September. On 3rd September, nations allied together to fight against Adolf Hitler. And this caused the World War II. So you need to understand the key aspects that caused the World War II. Changes rising up. Of course, they had reasons why they had to do what? To fight. Why they had. So today, Kasoma Farouk of Uganda is putting a caveat on World War II. Where these are the lead answers about World War II. So our question says, analyze the causes of World War II, 1939 to 45. So I can tell you we needed to understand what caused the World War II. So we are saying World War II was a global war which broke out in September 1939 and was fought between the Axis powers, Germany, Italy, and Japan, and allied powers of Britain, France, Russia, and later USA and their respective allies. The war, which was caused by various factors, ended in August 1945 with the defeat of the Axis powers. So we are realizing members of Axis powers, Germany, Italy, Japan, by this time, they were determined to fight against allied powers. That is Britain, France, Russia, and later what? USA. So we are realizing that finally the allied powers defeated the Axis powers. But our area of argument, what caused the World War II? Number one, the extremely harsh terms of the Treaty of Versailles of 1919, especially on Germany. So we are realizing the harsh terms of the Versailles Peace Treaty of 1919 caused the World War II. What happened? The Versailles Peace Treaty of 1919 disarmed only one country called Germany. The hard question is, was Germany going to just like that? Of course, no. That's why when Hitler took political power, for him, he resurrected arms race. So in this kind of arrangement, the harsh terms of the Versailles Peace Treaty of 1919, which disarmed only Germans, it is said the war guilty clause of the Versailles Peace